Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is @ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather, or the gym.
Hello there, I'm Mark Webster. Welcome to the Racing Post NFL podcast. We started the season off with a preview, and now we bring it home to you with a bang, of course. The Super Bowl is taking place at the weekend. It will be in Atlanta, a lovely place to do their business for them, I'm sure. Meanwhile, it's quite chilly where we're sitting. And Phil Aegis over here and Ian Wilkerson are back with me. Nice to see you again, fellas. And I'm delighted to say as well, down the line, we will be joined by Paddy Power's very own Mihal Nagel a little bit later on as well. How are you?
Hi, lads. How you doing?
Yeah, it's good to hear from you as well. So, I think we've got to get this out of the way early. Obviously, we all exchanged emails early on, and just to say, say hello and how are you. The very first one I received came from Mr. Aegis over there, who made a very salient point, which is relevant to our conversation today.
Well, it was just that we tipped the Rams in the pre-season postcast, and so it's worth mentioning.
Okay, you're both. Yeah, okay.
One has tipped the Los Angeles Rams.
It would be wrong of us for people to take individual credit where this is clearly a team game. I don't want to take
any individual credit for something that somebody else has done.
This is very true. You've got to be fair. Was there a point in the season when you weren't quite so convinced? I mean, certainly in the postseason as well, because there was a close game there, wasn't there?
They've had a couple of dodgy results. They lost to Chicago and Detroit, I think, back-to-back weeks, and which wasn't great. But no, they seem to be back on their game during the playoffs. So they've got a shout.
I doubted them with about 2 minutes left when the bloke got pushed over at New Orleans a couple of weeks ago.
That is certainly one of the big talking points of the season. I suppose in terms of the season itself, if we reflect on it, it was pretty exciting, I imagine, for the NFL because the ball was in the air a lot. Quarterbacks suddenly were using their arm and not just palming it off.
They have been tipped in their balance.
Exactly right. You can't get anywhere near them. I don't think you can be in the same zip code is the way it would be described out there. Has it made it an exciting season for you, the fact that we have seen perhaps more long passing, more scoring that way?
And I think you've had a lot of dominant offences, so it's made for an exciting league because it really has gone all the way. The top four scoring teams were the ones that made the championship game.
Yes.
And as soon as we came in 2 weeks ago, before those matches, we discussed it in the office. We're like, well, we can't have a bad Super Bowl.
No.
They're all, we've had a few teams, a few Baltimore's and Seattle's, great defensive teams who have come up.
Yes.
Denver, you've got to the time now where you're not going to get the Super Bowl if you've not got a top quarterback. Which a few years ago, some teams got there. Denver strike. During the back end of the Peyton Manning era, you're thinking, well, they've got there, but he's been in spite of him, despite
not worth anyway. And you mentioned quarterbacks there. Of course, there's been it's a good handful of rookies in there. One perhaps set the place alight. Has done very nice. It's not been a great year from that point of view. It's been more for the tried and tested has worked better.
Yeah, well, the quarterback who's caught the eye this season is Patrick Mahomes of Kansas City.
Exactly.
Sadly, not in the Super Bowl. He's not a rookie, but he might as well have been because he only played like half of one game.
Led the best offense as well, didn't he, with that team?
Kansas
So
City
that just goes to show.
I think everyone would have loved to see the Chiefs play the Rams again in the Super Bowl after what happened in their regular season game, which was just like the best game ever, wasn't it? 54, 51, 105 points. It was a Monday night. I actually managed to stay up for all of that, which was fun.
With Mahomes, though, it's not just the stats; it's the way he plays.
Yeah.
He plays with such flair. He just seems to offer something different, and some of his passing is just laughable. You can't believe that he's pulling off some of these things, and that's box office. That helps the game become attractive to watch. It's not just the fact that they're putting up 35, 40 points every week. It's the manner in which they were doing it.
Yeah,
I owe him an apology actually, and to counteract the Rams tip, I did say in the pre-season one that I thought the Chiefs should have stuck with Alex Smith and probably a bit risky going for Mahomes. But by week 2, I knew I was wrong. He threw 6 touctouhdowns against the Steelers in week 2.
Well, I mean, Andy Reid, I'm sure he gets paid a lot of money at the Chiefs. He should know better than we do.
Yeah.
And it was the fact that he was untried that was, a lot of the other ingredients were there for the Chiefs, and for him to make such an impact. It was the sort of cherry on the top.
Yeah.
And, they were sort of in the middle of the price range to get to win the Super Bowl this year, and they're going to be a top 3 or 4 team next year.
So, the other thing as well, Michal, you're with us still. I'm taking it. There you are, sir.
I was trying to time in there, Mark. Like,
dive in, nice.
Going back to Phil's point, it could be a lot worse than pre-season pod. I tipped up the Saints myself, and I backed them at 22-1, and I kind of reinvested during the year as well. And they were absolutely robbed against the Rams.
Right. Okay. I'm assuming we want to deal with this situation now then, because of course it's not been a brilliant season for officiating anyway. And then you get, I didn't even know. Me, I'll start with you on that one there. I didn't even know that wasn't something that could be a call. We're talking about like Coleman's hit on Lewis, which basically swung the game. And I suppose the reason I didn't know is because you've never seen such a bad decision that needed to be addressed, I guess.
Like it's funny that there's a lot of talk on making all plays reviewable, which it isn't the case at the moment. There's talk, like the people have been talking about in the Senate, and but the sounds coming from Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, has been silencing. He hasn't said a thing about it, which is a bit odd, I think. But it's worth remembering as well that the Saints, while they were robbed of that bad play call, they didn't play very well. I didn't think Sean Payton coached a great game. Drew Brees didn't play very well. Sean Payton kept bringing Taysom Hill on the centre and putting Brees out wide, which was driving me spare, to be honest. I was shouting at my TV, things I'd back the Saints outright. They were ahead 13 points at the end of the first quarter, and all they had to do was manage the clock and run the ball. I decided not to run it, and they kind of threw the game away. But I think, despite the bad play call,
That was what a lot of the conversation was about, the fact that there was some of the coaching, actually a lot of the coaching, because as well we know, because half of them are gone, I think. It's not been a great year for keeping your job, that is for sure. And of course the biggest sin as well is that Harry Connick Jr. has officially said he will not now go to the Super Bowl in protest at the New Orleans Saints result. So that's blown it.
If he's got a spare, I'll have it.
Yeah, he probably was going with someone as well. So take a friend. Take a friend.
With the Saints, I don't think. I mean, have they not seen an NFL game? They never watched a Cleveland game. That quarterback gets hit in the head and they give a first down to the other team.
This happens to everybody, but teams get calls against them, and it's just the way it goes. But you remember the ones that happen.
Of course you do.
At the key times, and this will be. We'll be talking. People will be talking about this for years to come.
Exactly.
I know that is a bit of a cliche when you're talking.
No, it's true, because it
was such a clanger.
And pivotal, because we're talking about 2 overtime games. Should we just touch on the playoffs part of this as well? We very nearly, the Eagles got close to giving the chance to defend their title, and
over an all LA.
I know.
Super Bowl, weren't you?
I was calling that City, and I was relatively pleased in that sense, is that I could see that. I also do believe, though, I went a bit California heavy, and I thought the Oakland Raiders would do okay. But
we'll sweep that under the carpet.
They were terrible, but
they were the nicest team in the league this year, because they were giving presents out to everyone else. They got Chicago into the playoffs for giving them Khalil Mack, and then they got Dallas into the playoffs for giving them Amari Cooper. So
yeah, they gave it 2 players who actually got in the playoffs on their behest. The Cowboys as well were. I mean, that would have been. I know we're going to deal with a name which is somewhat synonymous with success in the NFL, but the Cowboys were, were so close, and that was against the Rams as well, wasn't it? That loss.
Yes.
Yep.
The Cowboys, and so that, NFC.
That was fairly straightforward victory for the Rams. I thought that one. It's been a funny playoffs really. The wildcard games are all wild. They were all really good and amazing, and then the divisional round was just 4 quite boring, straightforward. All the seeds won, and then back to 2 brilliant ones for the
did all right with the conference finals, didn't we? Okay, Michal, let me start with you on the New England Patriots. They had an entire win streak of 2 during the course of that year, and there was weeks there, certainly at the start, when you thought I thought it was all done. I thought Belichick and Brady, they've done it so often. They pulled the cat out of the bag so many times. Not this year.
Yeah, I think everybody was thinking that way, Mark, throughout the year. I think most NFL pundits and fans like us watching the game probably thought that this was finally the end of the Patriots. Gronk is running around, looks like he got a piano on his back, looks like he's finished. But since the playoffs came against the Chargers in that first game, they played in the playoffs after the bye, they were really, really impressive and really blew them out. And I think, to be honest, Belichick just out-coached Anthony Lynn. Then against the Chiefs, I think everybody thought the Chiefs would probably beat them at home, but again, they pulled it out the bag, and again, Belichick and Brady just showed why they're the greatest of all time, I guess.
Yeah. It's a shame they just don't get on, isn't it, really? Oh, well, what does? It was Rex Burkhead, the running back, who's got the overtime win. Was he an important man in this playoffs for you?
Well, the thing is that they have such a galaxy. There's always somebody, when you watch a Belichick team in a big game, there's always somebody who just pops up, and you think, you know, you can look at all the games before and like, who the hell's this player? Where does he come from? Where has he been for the last 10 weeks? And all of a sudden it just clicks into action. And that's what makes them such a difficult team to play against.
Too right, exactly right.
You can tell it's the coaching with the Patriots, because they've quite often had slow starts, and it's taken them a while to get together and decide what their identity is going to be that year. Some years they go lots of passing, some years they go lots of running. This year they're more of a running game, and James White has emerged as like a key man for them.
That's to protect Brady, isn't it? I mean, because of course he can't be throwing long all season long, and then into the playoffs. It just
isn't running about.
No, exactly right. It's basically
not that he ever really did.
He's not much of a. He wasn't a scrambler, was he? No, that's not his game. How about are there names and players that impressed you during these last few weeks that sort of stood out?
Yeah, well, the Patriots, they had the bad start and they recovered. And then there was just about a month ago, they suddenly started, oh God, it's the Patriots again. They're actually going to be good again. What they've done is I don't know if you watched Last Chance U on Netflix, where they take the college players who've been kicked out of other teams and they try and rehabilitate them and get them to a better place. So the Patriots do that in the NFL. They take everyone's cast-offs and they think that by putting them in the Patriot system, they can tell them. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But they've got a couple of the wide receivers. Philip Dorsett was at the Colts first-round pick, didn't really make it, and Cordarrelle Patterson was at the Vikings and was another first-round bust considered. But they're just using him in the things he can do, which is run very fast, with the ball as a wide receiver. And I think Dorsett could have a big game. Just a big play or something to make a difference.
That is the coach. Coaching the scale. It's a bit like Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs is getting players that fit, not necessarily stars in the basketball. Yeah,
it's a coach thing.
Yeah,
I mean, you talk about Popovich and Spurs. It's the Spurs way of doing things. Yes. You see it across sport in all sorts of things. You're seeing it at Tottenham with Pochettino. Yes. You see it's Belichick. You have a sort of player a way of doing things, and you have to invest in the culture to get things done.
Yeah.
And there's a Patriot way of doing things, and there are going to be particular players who fit into it and people who don't.
The coaching, Michal, at the opposition, at the always fancied Rams, brand spanking new in that particular sense. Were you impressed by how they went about the business? Not least, 13-3. It was a hell of a regular season they had, didn't they?
Yeah, I think Sean McVay is the young hot coach, I guess, in the NFL right now. Even since the regular season ended, anybody who's associated with Sean McVay seems to be getting head coaching jobs elsewhere. You could have served Sean McVay a coffee during the year and you'd be getting a head coaching job somewhere. He's put together a really good team. They're kind of built in a way similarly to the Patriots, I would say, in that they're not reliant on any star players, especially offensively, like we've seen over the last few weeks. Todd Gurley, they haven't really been relying on him as much, and CJ Anderson has come from nowhere. He was cut by the Panthers and by the Raiders, and now was turned up at the Rams. All of a sudden looks like a great running back all over again. Similarly, like a wide receiver, Cooper Kupp got injured throughout the season, but they've been able to use Josh Reynolds and Woods and Cook at tight end, Everett and Higbee. So, McVay is a good coach. He can get these kind of players who other coaches can't get everything out of and put them into a team and make them work.
Yeah, they've got that kind. It's a different chemistry, isn't it? Cosmetically, they're different. The style is completely different. How has he got this right so quickly, though, as a coach?
Well, I don't know. It's just that X factor with McVay, isn't it? I mean, he's almost overtaken himself in the NFL. Really, people are already looking for the next Sean McVay.
Yes.
So the current one has not even won a Super Bowl. He's only 30. So he just turned 34 this week, I think. And but he's obviously got what it takes to make people tick. I mean, he took over the team from Jeff Fisher, one of the old dinosaurs of the game. Who sort of ground them down, and Jared Goff had this terrible rookie season. Everyone's saying, "Oh, he's a bust. He's never going to make it." And then McVay's turned him around. He's built a team in that he he's got clever offensive ideas, and they've got so many weapons that that's what I think is going to make it difficult for the Patriots, because Belichick's plan is always to take away what you do best, and it's. So, you know, if you've got a really good wide receiver, he'll double him up and take him out of the game, make the quarterback win with whatever else he's got, all the running game. But with the Rams, you can't really do that, because they can go to the other area, whatever Belichick decides to take away. They've got other options.
Shooting from the hips, the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, the key for it is that he's managed to get a tune out of Goff, because what that has meant is that he has turned. You know, he's still on his rookie contract, and that is what has enabled them to go out and, rather than follow the draft model as the vast majority of teams do, and sort of like recruiting college talent, and then you're always taking a punt of whether they're going to be able to make the massive step up and make such a big impression. They were able to get established players, admittedly on big money, and you know, Sue and Marcus Peters and people like that, particularly defensive players, and that they've been able to build the team up that way. So they've got players who have been there and done it, and they know what they can do at this sort of level.
I wonder
it's
if it was...
It's a very different dynamic. It was one thing that put me off.
Yeah.
At the start of the season.
Well, it's like they bought for this success that they've got. They bought to get to here.
Yeah,
they've got a very narrow window to get it right, because if they don't, then Goff comes off his rookie contract and have to pay him like a top-level player.
They're
going to have to lose people.
But you know, the fact that Goff has emerged has allowed them to do all this, because otherwise they'd have been going out shopping to get a quarterback, and they wouldn't have been able to get their team. So, how much credit that is to McVay, you know, that's perhaps debate. You know, the player himself, you know, you got to give him a lot of credit as well.
Well, the master plan has worked thus far, gentlemen. One more game to absolutely seal the deal. I suppose the logical thing for us to do is take a short break here. You're watching Racing Post NFL Podcast. When we come back, we'll start crunching the numbers for you.
Success ain't earned, it's bought. That's why at Paddy Power, we paid the big bucks for the best tech nerds in the world to develop our new, fastest ever app. Download the new app from the App Store or Play Store now. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
This is the NFL Postcast. We have Ian, of course, here. We have Phil there, and we have Mihal down the line, of course, from Paddy Power. And this is an opportunity now, gentlemen. We're going to get stuck in to what are the best places to be putting our money in terms of... Because the beauty of a Super Bowl is, yes, we're going to discuss the winner, who we think is going to be, and whether there's any value there. But then there's the 50,000 other bets that tie in and around it. Actually, I guess, Mihal, to start with on that one there, in terms of Paddy Power, it's probably like Christmas on there, isn't it, for a Super Bowl bet?
Yeah, I think at the moment we have like 490 different prop markets, and it's still only Wednesday, so we're going to have a lot more up there by Sunday. Yeah, so plenty to have a bet on.
Right, so that's good to know. That's all going to be available, but let's pick out some choice cuts. Let's start, Phil, at your end and work our way down. In terms of the favourite going into this, who will it be, and are they righteous to be that?
Well, it was an interesting one, actually, because when the championship games were just concluding 2 weeks ago, the Rams were the first prices that came out had the Rams as favourites, but very quickly it went to pick 'em affair, and then getting towards the game now, and the Patriots are like 2.2 and 2.5 point favourites now, so it's that's the way the money's gone, which is not necessarily good news for them, because 13 of the last 17 underdogs have won the handicap, and 10 of them have won the match as well. So the bookmakers don't always get the Super Bowl right.
I guess the reason that this has changed is because no one's totally sure that the Patriots are going to do it, and yet they keep doing it, and there they win, and there they win against. They're not prepared to back them, and now they're there. It's almost like obligatory. Are they right to go in as favourites?
Yeah, probably, but I wouldn't back them.
No.
I think if there's other ways to back them rather than the 3 to 4 that's available for them to win the game. Obviously, as favourites, if they're getting a 2.5 point start, it's not a crucial number in NFL betting, because there are numbers that you have to bear in mind, like the 3, 7, 10, the multiples of the particular scoring. Certainly wouldn't look at them if they were -3 and they had to win by a field goal, obviously, because you're playing catch up all the time.
Yeah.
They don't care how many points they win by, so you can be sitting there watching the game thinking, God, I wish they'd score some more points, but they're not going to.
No, it ain't going to happen.
It's a horrible way.
The rhythm of the game, Mihal, is going to be probably where the best place to go and find your value. But just dealing with that point, with the Patriots being sort of just edging it there as favourites, is that not an issue for you if you're looking to place your bet?
Yeah, so yeah, like Phil was saying there, like we opened Rams as -1.5 favourites, and the Pats have been heavily back to -2 favourites now, or 3 to 4 on the money line. So 80% of the money so far has been on the Patriots. But we expect that to balance out a bit more closer to the weekend. Similarly, in the totals, we opened the totals at 58 points. That's been back down to 56.5. So people are back in the unders. But again, come closer to the weekend, when you're getting your 5 and 10ers and your more recreational punters getting involved, I'd imagine people like backing overs if they want to see points. So I could see that keeping up a half point or a bit as well. So that's the way it's looking at the moment.
I suppose the big deal would be, is it a tight game that we're going to be looking at? Because, of course, that therefore affects a lot of our thinking at this stage, doesn't it?
Yes. Also, I mean, like Michael touched upon, public perception is a massive thing in NFL betting. We're looking at, if the line is 56.5, it was 57.5 2 years ago when the Patriots came back and beat the Falcons, which was the biggest ever Super Bowl line. We've talked about how games have been so much more high scoring and things like that, so perhaps that trend is a bit understandable. But people want to sit there, they want to eat, they want to eat their takeaway, they want to drink their beer, and they want to see loads of points.
Yes, they do.
So consequently, they plough on and they back it.
Yeah.
So sometimes the line's a little bit high, but if you swim against the tide, you've had your fingers burnt in 6 of the last 8.
Yeah.
So it's a real conundrum. And what I would say about the main market, about the Pats, is that if you fancy the Pats, rather than backing them to win at 3 to 4, you can get even money on Tom Brady being the most valuable player.
Right, okay.
Now, this is quarterbacks very popular. 9 of the last 12 winning quarterbacks have won the MVP.
Yes.
MVP
I know
award.
you mean. I know the fella.
Brady's won 4 of the 5 times
that
the Pats have won. And the only other time it wasn't, Deion Branch won, and he had 11 catches in the game, which tied the record for a Super Bowl. So they had to give it to him. The first year he won it, he only threw for 140 odd yards.
Yeah.
That is a really good. That's if you fancy the Pats, which I don't. I'm leaning the other way. But if you want to back the Pats, I would leave the 3 to 4 alone, and I'd take the even money on Brady to be MVP.
Well, quite frankly, you take both. Because I think that is the point that Ian makes is that if they win it, they'll give. Brady's got the MVP anyway. That's a done deal.
They'll be itching to give it to him. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly right.
I think it's going to be a close game. That's why I'm leaning towards the Rams on the handicap, and I think they could win it. One of the Paddy Power markets I liked, on which ties in with it being a close game, is the largest lead under 14.5 points at 5 to 6.
Yeah.
Which I think is very well worth. But I can't see anybody, blowing out the other side. I think I just think it's going to be close all the way through.
Yeah, that would make perfect sense. Mihal, do you like that? I mean, obviously both the fellas are saying tight game. It just feels like it's probably the way it's going to be extraordinarily tense, with a bit of luck all the way till the bitter end. So how would you take advantage of that betting-wise?
Yeah, so I agree with guys. I think it probably will be a tight game. The way both teams have been playing for the playoffs as well, they tend to run the ball or rush the ball a lot. The Patriots in particular, against the Chargers and the lesser extent against the Chiefs, have put the ball in Sony Michel's hands and try to control the clock. Similarly, the Rams have been kind of giving the ball up to P.J. Anderson. And against the Cowboys in the previous game, I suppose Anderson and Gurley to a lesser extent. So to that end, I think it'll be more of a low-scoring game. So probably the bet I would be looking for is the unders. And in particular, I would be edging towards the first half unders. Probably it's a bet I really like, because with that line at the moment is 27.5 points. Normally in the first half, teams are a bit nervous, a bit cautious.
He's got tension is hanging in the air, isn't it, Mihal? I can sense that coming up.
If you look at the when the Pats have won the Super Bowl in the Belichick, very low scoring first quarter. There's hardly any points at all.
No, they just shut up. They shut everybody out.
Yeah,
they shut everything down.
Okay, we'll calm down and then we'll go to work.
Exactly right, because they're not a team that's going to play on adrenaline like that. If the Rams are going to win it like that, you might imagine, is there a shout that says that perhaps they do? There is a flyer in the first half of the game.
Yep, they've got very. I mean, so McVay played his gamble against the Saints with his fake punt, which is it's almost, they do it so often it's almost not a fake anymore. You're expecting it and you're surprised if they
when there's a fake punt, not a fake punt. When it's the only punt. Yeah, exactly.
And Johnny Hecker's had almost as many pass attempts as Goff, but. Well, there could be something funny in there, like, when the Saints did the onside kick on the second half kickoff, and McVay's just the sort of thing he might try, something like that. So that could be fun. They could do on the opening kickoff.
Philly special.
Yes.
Philly special was great.
Last year.
Yeah, exactly right. So we can look out for that. Given all of this, then, I mean, let's talk about the game. The choreography of the game. Then, you feel first half probably very close, but that will be the tone that we will then see. No one's running away with this as far as you can tell.
I don't think so.
No.
And I think, as Miel suggested, they're going to be grinding it out a lot. I think if you watch the closing stages of the Patriots game against the Chiefs, and when Tony Romo was just telling us what was going to happen before anything did, you know, I can see a lot of that pattern emerging where Brady's looking to get away from the attention of sack machine Aaron Donald, get rid of the ball quickly, looking for Edelman close in the slot, looking for Gronkowski, and I'll be looking. There's a couple of bets, player related, that I'd be looking to go along with that if they're going to attack with that style. Gronkowski over 4 receptions at 6.5. I mean, we've talked. Michal talked about, you know, he's not had the effect in the league that he has in previous years. Sure. People have talked about, is he going to retire and all this sort of thing. I still think he could have a big game in the big stage.
Yeah, on the big stage, you can see him having a big...
He's over 4 receptions at 6-5.
I love that Gronk best. It's one of the props I picked out as well.
Yeah.
Over 4 receptions, 6-5.
Yeah.
He's had 2 weeks out to get fit. And I saw him during the week on the media day, and he was breakdancing, so he looked probably as fit as he's looked all year. So
yeah, that's
if he's ever going to have 4 receptions, he probably will with this game, which could be his retirement game.
Yeah. Perhaps that's what the England cricket should warm up with breakdancing in the future. Then,
they do everything else except cricket.
Exactly, that's right. Yeah.
So it's only a matter of time.
The way you should not use Gronkowski is to defend a Hail Mary. Which is what he was doing against Miami and in the play of the year, which was Miami beat them on the last play with the most ridiculous return. Which was
so sort of related to that is the other one I like with Edelman.
Yes.
Edelman. I'd go long on his yards at 80.5. He's been heavily involved in the 2 post-season matches. 16 receptions for a total of 247 yards. He's had at least 69 yards in 10 of his last 11 appearances. I think he'll have a big role. So, I'd go over on that at 10-11.
Yeah, that's okay. And talk about individual players here. Phil. I'm going to guess that one of the running backs is going to be sort of like fundamental to their team success. So rushing yards, I'd have thought would have been a pretty decent one.
The rushing yard I like the look of was just Anderson. He's only over. His overs is 41.5, and you know he's been the featured back. He was featured back last week, and he had 100 yards the week before, when they both got 100 yards with Gurley. And Gurley sort of officially wasn't benched after dropping a couple of balls, but
he's
pretty
had
much
a few injury
was.
issues as well, Gurley, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's put up some phenomenal numbers, and you know he's had a great season, but maybe a few signs of wear and tear a little bit creeping in.
But as Michal points out, though, you do get this rest that they get after relentless season. If you've gone from week 1 all the way through the playoffs, so they should be in decent nick. Given all of that, how about the total points one? I know that it's obviously the bet, and we can talk about that. We've kind of sort of broken down the game there, Michal. What does that end up being the likely one for you?
The total points zone is 56.5, and the halftime total is 27.5. And like I said, I'm a big fan of the first half unders.
Yes.
But yeah, going back to Gurley and CJ Anderson, what Phil was talking about there, I actually think this is a Gurley game. I quite like the Gurley prop. I think he's had 2 weeks to rest up, and I think they're going to go back to Gurley because I think that they're going to want to set up play action to beat this Patriots defense. So I like Gurley over 32.5 receiving yards. I think it's a great bet. I probably will be edging towards under CJ Anderson 40.5 rushing yards. I just think this game sets up well for Gurley.
You mentioned that because that was a number that you mentioned earlier there in terms of that. So you know where you fancy the line being drawn. Do you know what we haven't really discussed is the fact that we look kind of like the Rams. We haven't picked the MVP, which would be from the winning team, more like than not. What do we think?
22-1, Donald.
Yeah.
Big price.
Nice.
Big price.
Much sure than all the other defensive players for a reason. But yeah, I mean, it's like, how you just stop their best player like on offence, like same on defence, isn't it? I mean, if you double team Donald come out, and then Sue's going to get you the other side.
Right.
So it's it's pick your poisons. They say too much on Sky. But it's one of those.
Donald's not had a sack in the playoffs in his 2 matches.
Yeah.
So I just think they can get to. They'll be looking to get to Brady on the inside.
Yes.
And the
Patriots
offensive line
because that's where the game's won or lost there, isn't it? Then and so suddenly, an impact.
You can see he's going quick.
Yeah.
Brady's looking to get rid of the ball quickly. So I'd like to think that I've painted this scene that's going to, it could be highly profitable.
Follow Paddy
Barely need to watch the game. Just use spend your money now. That's the
and we promise there won't be
if you've got a
any
name in the
boring
Rams,
stats
you
about
would think
gigs, the
that
weather,
if
or
we're
the
picking
gym.
our MVP and we're picking it from the team that we kind of consensus seems to be they think they might nick this game. Is there an individual?
The lads mentioned earlier, obviously, quarterback wins MVP 80% of the time. So if you like the Rams to win, then Goff at 7-4 is probably better value to win to back him than the Rams to win at like 11-10 or 6-5. But there's 2 other Rams who are kind of piqued my interest at big prices, just a bit of crack. The first one is Greg's Doorline, the kicker. We have him priced up at 225 to 1, which is the best price. Obviously, now a kicker has never won Super Bowl MVP, so it's obviously a big price for a reason. But if you think it's going to be a close game, if you think it's going to be a low
one on the kick, if it's one on the kick, neighbouring
parish,
he's obviously got a massive leg. Had the game winner in the last game, the Saints. The Patriots, kind of the defense, kind of a bend, don't break defense in terms of they give up short passing yards, but they don't want to give up big plays. So the Rams are willing to go for long kicks. So he's a good one. And the other one I like from the Rams is Robert Woods at 50 to 1. I just think it's a tad overpriced.
Yeah.
I think the Pats will try and contain the likes of Brandon Cooks used to play with them. They won't want any deep passes. I think Woods he's going to win. He'll have to probably get a rushing touchdown, a jet sweep, something. You have to have Goff play a bad game. A lot of things will have to happen, but at 50 to 1, I think he probably is a good price.
We've talked a lot about running backs, about Anderson and Gurley, and also Michel for the Patriots has put up a lot of numbers. Running backs have got a stinking MVP record. They haven't. Terrell Davis was the last winner 21 years ago. Was the last running back to win the MVP. So, although some of them, some of those players that I've mentioned are in the sort of like top 5 or 6 in the market.
Yeah,
I'll be giving them a swerve. Really.
Yeah, and he's going to need 4 touchdowns in that. In amongst many yards, if a running back's going to get that job done. Okay, look, we know the Super Bowl is a game of football, but it's an event, which basically means that it's not just about what is going on during the course of this game here. What are the little weird and wonderful things that you've been looking at in that you can that you think might be worth spending some money on?
There's all sorts. You can bet on all sorts of things regarding the popularity of betting on the length of the national anthem.
The phrase "too long" doesn't count, does it? Really?
No.
But I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah.
It's always too long, but there you go. And it will be
Gladys
again.
Knight this year.
Gladys, actually, it can't be too long.
No, exactly. And it's Maroon 5 doing the. I know I look like that when they announced me for half time. I'd have gone the other way. I'd have switched them round, but I'm not the scheduler.
Yeah, with Midnight Train to Georgia. See, it's the local girl making good. Well, actually, no. Suddenly, I'm in.
Yeah, I note
25 minutes plus for me on the national anthem, gentlemen.
I think what's the line, Michal?
We have it at 111 and a half seconds, but if you shop around, there's a lot of variance in the length. We have 111.5. I actually like the unders here because I feel like Gladys is a bit of old school. He's not going to milk it like a Christian Aguilera who turns 1 note to 16 notes. So.
Oh no, come on! Now you just sent shivers back down my spine. There, that was the moment I was thinking.
A couple of things to note. I see that Paddy Power have priced up Donald Trump tweets during the Super Bowl.
Oh,
over 1.5 is 5 to 4. Now, my intensive research into this market has revealed that the game's on CBS, and he's down to do an interview with CBS before the game. So I wonder when during the game he might be tweeting away while as we go on, telling people how wonderful he is on CBS and how terrible
he will be just
football
reminding people, exactly that, and that there all the time. I've just checked this, and with this way we can check with this as well. I don't know if there's obviously if it's all spelt correctly, we know he didn't do it. Therefore, does that count? As
if it's on his account,
tweet?
We're having it.
Oh, okay, fine,
absolutely.
No, that's good.
And my other halftime show, over 7.5 songs at 5 to 6. Timberlake did 11 last year.
Did he now?
Now,
how many Maroon 5 songs are there?
Well,
one that I know of.
Well, I wouldn't. I wouldn't like to claim extensive knowledge of their back catalogue.
No.
But I would have thought that they may want to showcase their full repertoire on a world stage and show that they are more than just Moves Like Jagger.
The one song that I do know is Moves Like Jagger, and
yes.
Paddy Power have got a price on Mick Jagger to join them on stage for it.
Oh, have they now?
Do you think that would liven things up?
Well, he does like a big sporting event, doesn't he? He does. That would, or you could just see him popping up, couldn't you?
He's probably at the cricket. He could just knock up.
Ah, exactly.
It's all coming together.
This is all making perfect sense.
Have we priced up whether Donald Trump will be providing cold burgers for the winning team?
That's a good show. Want to price up, I think.
Yeah, we should get on that.
I did see an American site had done what will they be served at the White House fast food, other food.
Really, just other.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to all odds makers for what
getting
they
in on
provide
that.
for.
Mihal, we've failed dismally for the last 5 minutes to take the Super Bowl seriously, like what we should be doing. Would you like to carry on that trend? Anything that you know that you fancy back in as well?
Yeah, the first song obviously is a big market and one I always like to have a bet on and one I do extensive research on. We've got a song called What Lovers Do in a 2-to-1, and after my research, they've played 37 gigs this year since May, Maroon 5, and 37 times they've played What Lovers Do first. So
that's commendable knowledge.
Yeah, it's a bit short of 2-to-1, but like.
Did someone have to go out and watch them 37 times on your behest to get that information?
No, you can very easily just Google setlist on like setlist.com and you'll get that info.
I just like to see some work experience kids come in and say, like, look, we've got something down for you for the next 6 months. If you've got a passport, you're going to be a very busy young person. Yes, that would all make perfect sense. Well, lads, yes, I mean it's Gladys Knight for me. Tight game, one at the end with a kick, and therefore the kicker winning to the MVP.
225 to 1.
That's it. That's the Super Bowl
Great
that I am
stuff.
dreaming of. Gentlemen, I think we pretty much have covered what is going to be happening in Atlanta over the weekend there for you. But of course, all that means is that there will be the Pro Bowl. Everyone goes up and have a bit of fun, and then everyone's getting a bit excited about next season. So we will too when we come back after the break.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet the next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
You're watching the NFL Postcast. My name's Mark Webster. Of course, we've got Phil, Ian here, and Mihal is down the line from Paddy Power. And Mihal, before we start talking about the next season, long way off yet, so let's give ourselves a couple of more minutes to discuss what Paddy Power specials we've got for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we've got 2 big offers on the game, Mark. The first one is I call 14 up, so we'll pay out on your team if they go 14 points up. That applies to match betting, singles. And then we also have a what odds Paddy specials. This is kind of our price request market. So we're giving money back as a free bet on losing what odds Paddy bet if the Patriots win. And that's refunded as a free bet, max refund of 10 quid.
Nice. Sounds like a good fun way of doing it, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, good work. Okay. Brace yourselves. Let's get the best bets.
This will not be beaten.
Yeah, I'm still uncomfortable with that. Of course, it's the second time I've had to do it. And again, I had a Christina Aguilera moment and the shiver went back down my spine on that one there. Okay, boys, this is your job now. Let's start, in fact, with Mihal, and then we'll work our way around. What's your best bet, Mihal?
Yeah, there's one we haven't discussed yet, and it's not priced up yet, so it's probably not fair to mention it, but one to keep an eye out for, because I've seen it priced up in a few Vegas books. It's longest touchdown yard, under 46.5 points, or under 46.5 yards, apologies. So keep an eye out for that one if you see it priced up. But outside of that, my nap is the first half total unders. So my nap at the moment is under 27.5 points in the first half.
Cool. Lovely. There's the that. Of course, there's no punt return in Mihall's book there, that's for sure. That's not going to happen, as we were discussing earlier on there. Where are you going with this one, Phil?
I know for Gerald Everett, anytime touchdown scorer for the Rams. He's, like he sort of falls through the cracks if Belichick's trying to stop everybody. He's trying to stop Cooks. He's trying to stop Woods. He's trying to stop the running backs. Tight ends are used quite a lot by the Rams, and Everett's an emerging second-year player, and I think he's around 9-2 to score first. To score anytime.
Anytime, which is what you...
25's first.
Look up. And therefore, sir.
I've got there's a what odds paddy that I like at 5-1, which is a bit of a combination bet, which you can have a bit of fun with. We talked about CJ Anderson, the running back for the Rams. I think he could have a big game. So over 40.5 yards for him. Added to Julian Edelman, who we've talked about. Yes. Over 77.5 receiving yards for him. And you can add Rams tight ends, Tyler Higbee. Over 18.5 receiving yards for him. But he's had a double figure output in 9 of his last 10 matches.
Right.
I think he might do as well. That's bundle them all up. 5-1.
Sounds like, there you go.
Which would be a nice little bit.
And it keeps you interested all the way through.
Keep you up until the alarm goes off to get up for work on Monday morning.
Or until work, probably, because if this goes to overtime, it could be a very, very long evening indeed. So, there we go. That's our Super Bowl coverage for you wrapped up. There's an opportunity now just to look ahead a little bit because, of course, as well we know, and I alluded to it earlier on there, it's a real chop and change next year because we lost a couple of coaches halfway through the season, which certainly was an effect. I think half a dozen went on Black Monday therefore the day and day after. So 10, 12 teams are going to have a brand new look, Phil, next year. Has that affected any of your thinking for next season?
Well, I'm very biased on this one because the Browns were one of those mid-season changes.
That's true.
They're my team, and they improved from improvable 0-16 the year before to 7-8-1 this year. So it's a massive step. Next year, it's got to be the playoffs next year. Baker Mayfield was the number 1 pick in the draft last year. He's completely changed the culture of the team. Got a new head coach, is Freddie Kitchens, who started last year as the running backs coach. Got promoted to offensive coordinator when Jackson thankfully got sacked in the middle of the season. And he's now got because he revitalised the offense. They look really good. Team spirit seems to be back. And I can see the Browns in the playoffs. And along with the Colts and the Chiefs should be up there again. Okay,
it's heart and head there. We got a bit of that both there from Phil. I was looking at the Cardinals, funny enough, because they're going to get the first round draft pick, and their quarterback Josh Rosen is young, poor season, but with a bit of an ankle change of coach now as well. And I thought I wonder if they might suddenly make an impact, but I'm clutching at straws. Exactly, there's the thing.
That's the thing, you know. And San Francisco were very unlucky with injury to Garoppolo this year.
True.
I think there's scope for them to improve. I agree with Phil about the Browns. They've had 25 seasons in transition, and I think they're getting Mayfield has finally pointed them in the right direction, and I think they're going to get their house in order off the pitch as well. That AFC North could be a bit weaker. The Steelers might have had their chance.
Yeah.
Baltimore they'll be their toughest opponent probably. Cincinnati have not done much for a couple of seasons, and the Colts finished like a train, didn't they? Who saw them coming?
Exactly.
They
lost
5 of their first 6 matches,
6 games exactly,
and got to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I was very sceptical about whether after a season out whether Andrew Luck would be able to do great things. But
second best in the league.
They were
incredible performance from him.
They were outstanding.
That's the coach there, Frank Reich's really changed things around.
Yeah, but he's another one who's changed the culture of the place, and that's a big. These little margins when there's not a lot of difference between the quality of players can make an enormous difference in the NFL.
Exactly right. What about from your point of view, Mihal? It's as I say. Do you think that coaching changes will be a fundamental factor in the way that teams will shape up next year?
Yeah, I think the lads covered it quite well there. Like, there's a few interesting appointments, like Adam Gase going to the Jets, and he touched on Kingsbury going to the Cardinals. But like the 2 teams, I guess, kind of I'd be looking out for the Browns, 49ers. I'm a bit biased here now. I'm a 49ers fan, much like Phil is a Browns fan, and I think it's there to get someone like Antonio Brown or Le'Veon Bell in free agency, and they've Jimmy G back, and in Kyle Shanahan, they've got one of the greatest young coaches in the game. Then I think they'll be thereabouts as well.
Yeah, all makes sense to me. And also, just with Bengals, I mean, 16 seasons, Marvin Lewis there. Just couldn't get a playoff win, but not bad at all during the regular season. A little, if they can tweak that, but with a new coach suddenly, and they make a bit more of an impact.
We're looking forward to it all already.
Look what we've done. I'm leaping ahead. You're quite right as well. Should we get the small matter of the Super Bowl out of the way first? It's probably very wise. Set your alarms, gentlemen. I'm sure you will. And everyone have a good night out there, because, of course, Super Bowl is always entertaining. Don't miss Gladys Knight. I'm really excited about that. One of the genuine queens of soul is going to be doing a thing. Don't forget, of course, that here at the Racing Post, there are plenty of podcasts across all the different sports. Make sure you subscribe, and you can pick up those on YouTube and all the other platforms. Thanks very much indeed. See you again.
Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather, or the gym.